Hey, we're back, and welcome to the Xfinity Mobile Studios. We got an emergency pod presented by the good folks at Bet365. Bo Wolf, Fran Duffy, EJ Smith. You knew that Howie Roseman wasn't done. He wasn't going to watch the Eagles get no sacks against Dak Prescott and just continue living his life. Instead, he signs Za'Darius Smith. And you know that this one must have been in the works because Za'Darius was in Philadelphia to sign today. That means that this must have been cooking for at least a couple days, Fran.
No question. And I think when you're looking at a player like Za'Darius Smith, I get why there would be some trepidation if you're an Eagles fan. It's like, oh, like a veteran, they were still on the market. I will say this. Going through his film from last year, just from 2024, not like what I know from Green Bay and Minnesota. If he is even like 2/3 the player that he was last year for Cleveland and for Detroit, this is a huge upgrade for the Eagles as the third defensive end, third edge rusher in this group. I'm really enthusiastic by what I've seen over these last like half hour as I've gone through the film through Za'Darius Smith. He's an impressive player still.
Now, Za'Darius Smith will be 33 next week, so he is out there and available for a reason. That is, he is a little bit older, but yes, had 9 sacks last season, which we should say is the same amount of career sacks combined that Nolan Smith and Jalyx have. And listen, you can have all the expectations you want for Nolan Smith and Jalyx. Josh Uche had a couple nice pass rushes last night, but they signed a couple veterans in Azeez Ojulari and Agbo Okoronkwo, who were both healthy scratches last night. So certainly there was room for somebody to add into this mix, EJ.
Yeah, I think this really is reflective of the way that those 2 veteran signings went, especially Azeez Ojulari. You would have thought that he would have been that third edge rusher going into the season, but I'm with Fran. I'm gonna borrow a phrase from Fran. I've been listening to him a lot the last couple of weeks. I buzzed through Za'Darius Smith's 9 sacks last season. And you see a guy, I was doing some guys myself here, and you see an edge rusher who wins with power, can get to the quarterback, and also, at least in the limited sample size I saw, I think this is a guy who can offer you some early down value, just being strong at the point of attack. So yeah, I think that again, that third edge rusher spot, I feel like this will be an upgrade for them at that spot, and it's kind of to me, a response to the way that the summer went for Azeez Ojulari, being able to shore up the back half of that edge rusher rotation.
And now, listen, Za'Darius Smith has been around. He is, at a position that is can often be like for mercenaries. He is like a mercenary's mercenary.
Yep.
But that means that he's experienced coming in without a lot of a head start. What kind of player is he, Fran?
Violent is like the first word that stands out. Just watching him now, it's the violent bull rushes, the violent hits on quarterbacks, whether it's a sack or if it's a pressure. When he arrives with bad intentions, and he's still a sturdy, rugged defensive end. And what I find to be fascinating is that so much of his work, not just last year, but over the course of his career, a lot of his best stuff has come when he is kicked inside and stood up over guards and stood up over centers. The Eagles have not historically been like super duper like creative when it comes to like their front alignments. And, we've seen like, oh yeah, they're going to bump Brandon Graham inside. I think you're going to do all of that with Za'Darius Smith as he gets comfortable with the scheme. I just think it'll be interesting because a lot of his best stuff has come like, oh, he's going to kick inside and he's standing up over the center, but he's actually going to loop around and come around, and he's a great pinner on those stunts. Like he has done a lot of good work in that kind of role. I'll be interested to see if the Eagles try and incorporate more of that in when you sign a guy like Za'Darius Smith.
Well, I mean, listen, if the defensive tackles keep spitting on guys, they're going to need that.
They might. I think they would. But look, going back to it, I think at the end of the day, Azeez Ojulari inactive week 1, Agbo Okoronkwo inactive week 1. Even Josh Uche, even though the fact that he had a couple nice rushes on Thursday night, this is a guy that was inactive down the stretch for the Super Bowl last year for the Kansas City Chiefs. I think when you're looking at the depth in that room, you want a presence like Za'Darius Smith, a guy who's extremely experienced, nearly 70 career sacks, has been doing it at a high level for a long time.
Fran, did you on purpose say nearly 70 instead of 69?
I know who I'm on the podcast with.
Deft move. So listen, 9 sacks last year, 5.5 the year before that. with Cleveland, and then 10 when he was a Pro Bowler with Minnesota in 2022. And I'm not gonna tell you about pressures. I'm gonna tell you about quarterback hits. There was a bit of a drop off last year, even though he had 9 sacks. He only hit the quarterback on 4% of his pass rush opportunities, which is like, it's sub. Josh Sweat's at 4.5%. He was at 4.0%. So it's good. It's not great. Both of the previous 2 years, though, he was up around like 5.5. And so, on a per rush basis, he took a little bit of a drop back. But I mean, listen, there is no question that this is a no-brainer for the Eagles, given the state of the edge rush group now. And if, as you said, Fran, if you can get 80% of what he was last year, that's a nice addition.
It's a huge upgrade, and a guy that can serve a couple of different roles. You were hoping that one of your bets that you made at this position in the offseason was going to really pay off and kind of serve that role as the second or third guy opposite Nolan Smith, behind Jalyx Hunt. I think you feel good about Za'Darius Smith coming in and filling that role right now. He is better. The film that I'm watching from 2024 is better than Azeez Ojulari's film. It's better than Okoronkwo's film. It's better than Uche's film. So I'm excited based off of what I've seen so far.
Yeah, and to your point, Fran, Josh Uche played 19 snaps last night. Patrick Johnson played 12. So if you're telling me this guy is in that 20 to 25 snap range, maybe even a little bit higher than that, it just really raises the floor for that group.
It's also a hedge against the thing that we have talked about, which is that, Nolan Smith himself plays a very violent game. And with that frame, you do kind of worry that, there's a chance he's not going to be able to make it through 17 games. And so it's a hedge against that as well. EJ, do you think that Howie was like, he was worried he wasn't going to get enough attention after the game yesterday? Everybody was going to be thinking about the Brazil game tonight. He needed to steal some shine.
I think this is really reflective of the state of the edge rusher group going into the season. I mean, I guess, it's never hurts to add a little bit of pizzazz after a season opening win, I guess. But I really do. I think that this is probably something that they have wanted to address for the last couple of weeks as they saw that Azeez Ojulari was having a really quiet summer. I know he had the one joint practice against the Browns. It was the one day I wasn't watching the defense. I was watching the offense that day. But really, it was a quiet training camp. And I think the writing was on the wall with the inactives last night.
My big takeaway here, Fran, just all things considered, is you got to give credit here to Eric Burkhart of Rock Nation for negotiating the terms on this deal. I mean, what a great job by the agent. I mean, we got to make sure that everybody knows that he nailed this one.
You know what? I mean, if my agent got me all of training camp off, he got me week 1 off, I got to go on vacation, I got to relax, and then I get to cash them checks anyway. You got to give him a little credit for that, right? It's a man after my own heart.
Za'Darius can give him credit. I don't know that the world needs to give him credit. Berkman, EB getting it done on a big spot. Love that.
There's some scuttlebutt in the chat. Like, does this have anything to do with Jalen Carter? No, I don't think you're not signing Za'Darius Smith because Jalen Carter, could potentially, worst case scenario, get another 1-game suspension from the league, which I find to be highly unlikely anyway. As you noted at the top of the show, Bo, I think something like this, the fact that Za'Darius Smith was in town to be able to sign this contract and pass a physical means that they reached out. They didn't reach out last night at 8:30 at night. I think that this is something that's probably been in the works for at least the last week.
And we should mention that Ben Van Sumeren was placed on injured reserve to clear the roster spot for Za'Darius Smith.
Sorry, EJ.
I think we're all glad that you were the one who got to say that. Yeah, we can hear it in your voice.
The pain.
I mean, listen, I truly feel terrible for the guy. That is
absolutely. The look on his face, like he knew immediately. It was
the incredulity. Like the first play of the season, this happens. Like, are you kidding me? Ugh, awful.
Yeah.
Yep.
I wonder what they would have done had he not got hurt. Who would have been opening up this spot?
I was thinking about this last night.
Uh-oh. I can see the smile on it. There's something's coming.
I was thinking about this. So the Eagles lost the toss last night. Or no, the Eagles win the toss last night. They deferred.
Yeah.
What if they had lost the toss and they return?
It's a great question.
Spitgate doesn't happen. The other, just like that, a flip of a coin. The season changes for one player. 1 game changes for Jalen Carter.
You're absolutely right. You know,
It's a game. It's a game of inches,
Yep.
and it's a game of seconds here.
crazy.
And then Kenyon Green wouldn't be on the 53.
What does that have to do with it?
Because they would have to clear a spot. They wouldn't have BVS on
You think it would have been
reserve.
Kenyon?
So you think it would be?
Yeah, that was
Kenyon?
I was trying to be clever. I was trying to trying to be like smooth here about
Too
that.
clever. Too clever.
Yeah, too clever.
We should say, if Fran is going to be putting out some info here on Za'Darius Smith, he's going to break it down. If you too would like to be able to do some guys, you can join the supporters club. Do it. Support us, because that means that you can use the custom emojis. You let us know you love us. We need to get the subscribers up. We need to get the comments in, the likes, all that good stuff. This is our third podcast in however many hours. We're doing stuff for you. Just scratch our back. We scratch yours, you scratch ours. No big deal. And make sure that you become a diehard so you can read Fran's breakdown of Za'Darius Smith and EJ's early bird, his breakdown of everything that happened last night with a few extra little nuggets in there. EJ, how did that go for you?
It went well. It was definitely, I think I posted it at 4:52 or something like that. I was going to schedule it for 5 a.m., but it felt like an exercise in futility to give it the extra 8 minutes. But no, I was excited about it. I hope people enjoy it. And, I would encourage people to give me feedback on it. I said to Bo that this is kind of like when you run the mile to plug in the stats for your like 5K training program. Like that's how I feel about it. So yeah, if you have any thoughts or feedback, I'd love to hear it, guys.
All right. Good stuff, everybody. Thank you to Ethan for hopping on this emergency podcast. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Za'Darius Smith is an Eagle. Let us know what you think in the comments. And unless the Eagles sign another guy this weekend, we will talk to you on Monday at 2 o'clock on the PHLY Eagles podcast. Thanks for watching. And as always, we love you.
We all silly like the mayor.